Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm here with another winning game replay from Season 4. So in case you're new to the channel, what this is I'm probably about a slightly above average Fortnite player, but I managed to maintain a 9 to 10% win rate. And the way I do that is just with good decision making instead of good build skills or above average Twitch skills. So I'm going to start out talking about the drop and my plan for the drop. Well, in this case, I had no plan for the drop. This was just supposed to be a warm-up game, so I said I'll drop wherever, try and make the best of a bad situation. So what I'm doing is I'm looking to see who's lower than me, where they're going, and what items are readily accessible on the ground. So I kind of like landing on the gas station here when I can, because there's usually a weapon right away. You don't have to gamble about getting into a house. In this case, I managed to pick it up before the other guy that lands with me, finish him off, and then immediately move on. So, in deciding where to go, I consider the balcony house, but that's kind of a hard house to assault, so I'm actually going to come over here. I notice that the top is broken, so I'm actually going to come into the basement, and that ends up being a really good decision. I don't know if he was AFK or alt-tabbed, but it gave me enough time to finish him off. So I get his unused shield, I get the shotgun, and I get a couple other weapons that he drops. I'm going to go ahead and turn on nameplates here. So as you can see, we've got a lot of people in Pleasant Park. That was kind of my goal since I wanted a warm-up game. I wanted to get in, fight early, and just get into an aggression mindset. So I'm hearing fighting going on pretty much all around me. I catch one guy moving through here. I'm trying to get maybe a shot on him, but I decide to just go ahead and go aggro. I've got a shotgun, and he doesn't know I'm here. I hear them fighting, but I don't hear anyone dying, so I come down. After I kill the first guy, I'm immediately looking for the second. He drops another unused shield, and now I'm at full health, full shields. I've got my close range weapon, and I pick up a long range weapon as well. They also give me a decent amount of building materials, but not a whole lot. And I actually end up leaving the starting zone without too much to work with, and end up having to farm later. So now I'm just continuing on. I know a lot of people landed at Pleasant Park, and there's still probably a few left alive. I was hearing shots, still hearing shots, so I'm going to move up and see if I can get in on any of this action. Now if you'll allow me to rewind. That guy went into the fight with full health and full shields and ended up not getting a single hit before this guy killed him. So I'm guessing he made kind of a foolish mistake and gave up some high ground. Right now I'm just looking for this guy. I don't see him. I don't realize how low he is. And that ends up actually giving him a chance to heal up and shield up before the fight actually begins. So he's able to kind of fully reset between these two fights. Now he comes up, he starts getting aggro, realizes that I've got a shotgun too. He builds up a lot of walls, so I go ahead and give up the high ground in order to put pressure on him after I've hurt him. Which might not be a smart idea, especially considering that now he's up here and I'm down here. But he gets distracted by the guy throwing grenades. So right now he's fighting a war on two fronts, and it's not really a good position for him. So he's willing to give up that high ground to try and kill me. Now, right here he's got a beat on me. For some reason he doesn't shoot right away. I don't know if he chokes or he's just too distracted, but it gives me an opportunity to finish him off. So now, the guy who was fighting before comes in. He's got almost full shields, he's got full health, and he's got a good high ground advantage on me. But he misses a couple of his shots, allows me to kind of even it up a little bit. He's still got the high ground, and I don't want to try and assault right up into it, so I'm actually going to come around, try and build up on the other side. Now, he makes a huge tactical error. He had a big advantage up there on the roof, but he tries to jump off to get the overhead shot, when he really didn't need to. So there is nothing I could have done on this side to prevent him from holding the tactical advantage. So he gives up the high ground for nothing, and it ends up costing him the fight. Now, there is another guy there. I don't know if he was watching the fight or just doing something else. But at this point, I feel like I've taken care of pretty much everyone in Pleasant Park. I still go ahead and put a trap up just to make sure. And if this guy had been a little bit more aggressive, he might have seen me through the window. And I would have been an easy kill for him. So I actually see him there. I start hearing his footsteps, and I know he's coming around this side. So I come over here, and this third-person peek is about as ideal a situation as you can get in Fortnite. He's coming straight towards me. He has no idea that I'm here, and I can just start lining up shots. So I'm going to rewind it. Even if you kill him with the first shot, when you're corner peeking with a shotgun, you kind of want to peek out, shoot, come back in for the cooldown, and then peek back out. There's no reason to stay exposed when you can take advantage of that cover. So, let's talk about the first zone. It's pretty perfect for us considering. We landed here. We've got great, straightforward paths into the zone, and we're on the kind of the less populated half, I would say. So there's not going to be a whole lot of people at Anarchy Acres or Risky Reels coming in from the north. Most of the people are probably going to be coming in from the south. The zone's close, so we can get there easily. There's not much pressure on us, so we can take our time to loot. Now we do know that there's probably going to be some people coming in from Junk Junction or Haunted Hills. But if you'll look, this guy actually does appear on my screen a couple times. Right here. And I miss him because I'm too busy looting. So that's kind of the problem with looting after you kill 6 people in your starting zone, is you start to feel a little bit too safe. So here he is again. He could have shot me at any point. I don't have any shields. All I have is a health bar, and he's in a really good position with his loadout. Sure, his rifle's not as good, but his full shields more than make up for that. But instead he decides to play passive. Maybe he just wants to kind of pick the bones of the guys I already killed. But he could have taken advantage there. So we do have a couple guys just inside the circle. Right now I'm thinking I might have a little bit of time to come and loot up the motel as well. I know I'm really low on building supplies. I typically try and come out of the early game with about 300 to 400 and get the rest off players, but here I only have about maybe 175 to 200. So I see the building and I immediately pull out my rifle. Now this does leave my back open, but I think these two guys kind of get into it a little bit. So I'm trying to come up. I don't think I've been spotted yet, but I know that shot kind of gave away that there's someone in my direction. So they're going to be watching the south now. Turns out to not exactly be true. I think these are two new players. They might have even been teaming. But I'm just coming through looking for them. Since they're not being very aggro, I start getting a little bit lazy. I decide I really want that shield before one of them can pick it up. And I come down here. Now at this point, I didn't know about the second guy in here. And it's not until here that I hear him. So, I don't know if these guys are trying to fight each other too, but... So right here, I'm taking the high ground, just making sure that I'm covered. I'm not sure who he's shooting at. I think he's just trying to destroy one of my structures, which makes me think that these are probably fairly new players. So as soon as this guy shows himself, I actually mistake this pump for a assault rifle, which is what kind of causes me to give up the high ground here. But it works out well because he starts pulling out his building materials as soon as I jump down. It allows me to get kills on him before he can really react. He gives me mini shields, which is awesome, because that'll let me come up to full shields instead of just 50. And now we've got the other guy who was firing the sniper earlier starting to come into the mix. So now my health bar is kind of bugged here. I actually have full health and shields at this point. Right now I see him circling around. All he's got is a hunting rifle. So I go ahead and finish him off. And I don't even notice this guy building over here right away. I actually don't until he takes a shot at me and misses. So as soon as he takes a shot, I build, try and regain the high ground. Now I know he's got a sniper rifle. I don't know what other weapons he has. But the zone's going to be forcing him in, so he doesn't have a whole lot of room to maneuver. Right now I'm not exactly sure where he is, but as soon as I start seeing the building up to the side, I move to the right so that he's going to have a harder time walling me off. Pull out the shotgun, and I try and get some more hits on him. Now, he does put a vertical wall up, which is smart. I come to this side to try and get it, but he retreats to the other side. So normally I wouldn't recommend doing this kind of maneuver because you're giving up the high ground, but he's so low right now that you can, he's really pressured, really on the defensive. You can capitalize on that pretty well. So if you've already gotten a couple hits on someone, you can be a little bit more aggressive. Then I find out he's had a rocket launcher the whole time, which he didn't even use. Since I was being aggressive and he had a rocket launcher, he could have punished me really hard for it. Alright, so let's look at the next zone. The next zone's really good for us because going through Anarchy Acres, we're not likely to encounter more than 1 or 2 people. The majority of the people are still going to be getting forced into the zone from the south, and anyone in Dusty Divot or Tomato Town is probably going to be staying put for the time being. No one from Tilted Towers is going to be coming up around the west side of the lake, or at least so I assume. And so it kind of clears us to the south and a little bit to the southeast for a while. So I'm going to go ahead and fast forward here. So I'm just looking around and trying to make up a little bit for my building supply deficit. Right now I'm still only sitting at about 400 building supplies. And since I'm going into the big open rolling hills in the north part of the map, I know I'm going to need a lot of building supplies for the forts that are going to get built. And this ends up paying off a lot later. My philosophy is I don't like farming. I like to farm my materials off other players. Okay, so we'll slow it down a little bit just because the zone's coming in. So again, I'm just surveying, making sure that no one's in Anarchy. I haven't cleared Anarchy Acres, so in my mind there's a good chance someone could be hiding inside one of the buildings. I go ahead and put a trap down since I've got a couple. And let's look at the next zone. Next zone is again perfect for us. The zones have been really good to us this game, and that really helps with getting through the early game in a good position to win the final circles. So again, the people from the south and the east are getting forced up. Anyone who had to run from Retail Row is now continuing to have to run from Tomato Town or Dusty Divot. And I've got kind of a nice smooth transition. So I go ahead and move right away. Go ahead and speed it up just a little bit. So some of these trees have already been hit, which is why I'm only hitting them once or twice. And you generally don't want to destroy the big trees because it alerts anyone nearby to exactly where you are at a time when you're not really in a position to defend yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and slow it back down. Right now all I'm doing is looking around, making sure that no one's going to get aggressive on my fort. I try and build it away from any major structures that someone could sneak out of and build up to my base while I'm distracted. Just because it's only 3 high right now, When it's 3 high, you won't take falling damage if it falls out from under you, but it's also fairly easy to build a 3 high ramp. Once you've got a base that's about 4 high, then it becomes a little bit harder for people to get up to your height without you realizing it. So it's kind of a trade-off there, and I like having a 3 height structure rather than a 4 height structure just for that reason. 4 heights also take 50 to 60 more building materials. And I'm not rich in building materials right now. I used most of my metal and I'm down to brick. I'm trying to keep my wood in reserve for the final circles. So there's one guy, and he comes up, and I think he sees us, or sees our fort rather, and then backs off. But we've seen him, so now his position is compromised. He's actually good for the zone, but he starts getting a little bit aggressive, I think. So he decides to come up, and the fact that he's got a porta-fort out while he's rushing a base makes me think that he might not be the most experienced player. So rather than building cover, he pulls out his LMG, starts trying to take down my base. Normally I wouldn't pull out the sniper rifle on someone who's moving, but since he seems to be aiming and firing as he's moving, and he's pretty close, I go ahead and take the shot, kill him, and look around to make sure that no one's sneaking up during the confusion. We do have some guys building up to the southwest. And try and take the shot just for funsies, but no joy. That's alright. So I know that they're fighting up there. There's only 4 people left, so there's those 2. And there's going to be 2 more that, I don't really know where they're at. But I'm assuming they're not directly to the east because this guy came over here. And it turns out that I'm wrong. And it could have bitten me in the ass really easily. So we've got this guy coming up into the zone. He's got high ground advantage on me, but he's not really in a position to start a fight. So I actually don't even notice him building here. I'm completely oblivious because I'm tunnel visioned on collecting the building materials, and I don't actually realize it until I turn here and see that there's suddenly a fort behind me. So I know that that fort is occupied because it wasn't there the last time I looked. And this puts me in a really bad position, and it's a good thing that he had to reset the fight, because if he'd healed before, I wouldn't be in a very good position. Now, I start putting a little bit of pressure on him, and this is literally just to keep him from putting pressure on me as I move into the zone. So now I've got zone advantage, but he's got height advantage and a grenade launcher, which is a really dangerous combination. So I kind of need to keep putting a little bit of pressure on him just to keep him from really using his advantage to put the hurt on me, especially since we've got more people in this direction. So anytime someone's trying to lob grenades into your fort, you really got to keep building against it. I think at this milling range, grenades are a lot more dangerous than rockets are. You can get a lot more grenades downrange, and you can do it in ways that will destroy the backs of people's structures, or can fall right into structures. So right now, I'm just trying to get a good snipe on him. If I can get that kind of damage on him, it's going to put him in kind of a real bad bind for later on. And I managed to hit him. It's not a headshot, but it takes him down to about 40% health. And now I can continue putting pressure on. So now he's down to half health, half shields. So he's down to 1 single health bar. And he's forced to move along the outside of the zone that's going to be coming in here in a second. So for the moment, he's not really so much of a threat. I'm more interested in what's going on over here. These guys are having a massive building battle, and I do not want to fight the winner. So just to try and be a little bit cheeky, I try and knock the stage out from under him. I end up not doing it, but I'm just trying to kind of reduce the threat they might play to me later on. So he's starting to come in. He's running laterally, putting up walls. And I'm just trying to put a little bit of pressure on him, get a little bit of chip damage where I can. One or two more shots probably would have killed him and saved me, you know, a lot of effort later on. So I kind of make a tactical mistake letting him get back into optimal grenade range. So he's pretty close to the zone, he's not quite in it yet. So I go ahead and start putting a few more rockets downrange to try and get him. Now what I do here is I try and aim a rocket up for the scoop, so that if he bounces up he might get caught by some of the backblast. And it almost happens, but not quite. So now he's getting forced in by the zone again. But this guy over here has finished off his dude, now he's moving in as well. Now, we've got 3 players, fairly equidistant, and a zone that we each need to circumnavigate to get to. This guy has the worst position. He's going to have to move right across the zone. So, I know that I can't fight a battle on both fronts like this, especially when one guy's lobbing grenades, the other guy is being super aggro. I know this guy's a better builder than me because I watched his build battle and he won it. He's coming in with almost full health and full shields. So I make the decision to abandon my position, break my line of sight with this other guy, and start trying to get a position in the zone while I put pressure on him to keep him from getting super aggro on me. Now it turns out he's got a grenade launcher too, which is not good for us. And he's also nailing some pretty good shots, chipping down our shields, which makes me think he's a very decent player. So he's kind of my primary concern right now. Now the goal was to get these two to fight each other while I got a better position in the circle, and to some extent I did, and it's actually forcing this guy back as well, which puts him back into me. So see, he's taking some damage from the other guy. I get some grenades here, so again I abandon my position to try and get a better position in the circle. I ended up paying for it with a little bit more shield damage. Try and get a headshot on him to end the fight outright, but he still is getting pretty aggressive. So what I do here is I shoot behind him, because I hope that he's going to try and abandon this when he thinks I'm taking out the bottom ramp. And he does, but he's still being super aggressive, so now I'm in a fairly bad position and I have to adjust my strategy accordingly. I take out his ramp, immediately build up too so that he can't build up onto me. So this guy is still moving into the zone. Right now this guy is my biggest threat. So right here he's building. And so I do something that I don't usually do, and I get super aggro on him. I jump into his square. And this way, since his primary tactic is building to gain an advantage, I kind of remove the ability for that to grant him an advantage. I stay within the same 1x1 square so that he can't build me out of a position. Again, he tries to build, tries to lock me out. I stay with him as close as possible. By the time he pulls out a shotgun, it's too late. I've gotten too much damage on him, and I managed to finish him off. Now, the last guy is already starting to put pressure on me. He doesn't want me to reset the fight, so he's starting to put grenades down range. So I pull out my rocket launcher. The grenade launcher at this range is pretty ideal. I'm in a very bad position, and I misjudge his ramp. I think that this bottom piece is actually the support, when in fact it's the one behind it. He manages to knock down quite a bit of my building, and I need to get up high so I can see what's going on. Now, I start seeing him arc these shells really high, so what I'm going to do so that he doesn't get a better angle on me and start lobbing them directly into my base, is I'll be putting up barricades, and you'll be able to see that in a second. Right now, he's still outside the zone, so I'm just trying to put pressure on him, force him back out of his optimal position, and closer to the advancing zone to kind of stress him out a little bit. So, let's talk about this zone. This zone is pretty perfect. The only way it could be more perfect is if it was on me already, but right now all I have to do is move laterally, whereas he has to move laterally and advance to get into the zone. So he and I both know that he's got to start getting aggressive if he wants to take this game. I'm just trying to put some pressure on him right now, make sure he doesn't keep coming up. Now, see, the way this shell is coming, it looks like it might land right in my base, which would be bad news for me. So I actually put up a wall to bounce it off of. He does it again, and again I respond with the same thing. So again, I'm just looking to pressure him. This time he's just looking to completely demolish my structure, and he does it. I take a little bit of chip damage coming in, but he kind of sacrifices position in order to get that chip damage. So what I'm doing right here is it's just me and him, so instead of building a full fort, I build a barricade. I've got protection on this side, and no back to bounce grenades off of. So now this is a really unideal position for his grenade launcher because he has no real way to get reliable damage on me, and he can't get damage to the side of me with splash. So now I'm free to start kind of pressuring him again. He's in a bad position because I'm in the zone. He has to come to me. So it looks like he's starting to get aggressive and build up, so I go ahead and do the same thing. I put up ramps and walls in front of them to keep him from shooting it down. And right now I'm down to brick, so I'm out of wood entirely. I don't recall exactly how much I had at this point. But I'm just destroying his structures to keep him from getting the height advantage on me. His grenade launcher's not really going to do much at this range. He's too close. Now he's starting to build up again, so I make a really risky play right here. Probably should have just built another floor, but I pull out my shotgun and I make the jump. So you can jump a full square. A lot of players don't really know how far you can jump, and I managed to get inside his base. I'm looking for him. I don't see him right behind me. He could have ended this right here with one good shot, but he chokes. He shoots his floor, and now it turns into a pitched shotgun battle. Now I've got a tactical shotgun, so I'm kind of at the advantage here. He misses one more shot, and then he gives up the high ground. As he comes back down, he's not able to fire until he's actually too low to hit me. Now he's in a really bad position. He starts trying to build again, and I manage to sneak a few pellets to the side and finish him off for the win. So that ended up being about 13 kills, which is one of my highest kill games to date. Probably my highest kill win. Hopefully you guys learned something from watching it, and if you guys like this kind of thing, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what kind of tactics you'd like to see, what parts of the game you kind of need help on. Alright, thanks for watching, guys.